Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Before the Four. I am digital host A.J. Wuest, and if you are new to Before the Four, this is just a little interactive live stream where I go through WAFF's top stories before the evening newscast. And of course, today is Friday, so happy Friday to anyone who is watching right now. And also, since it's Friday, or really any day you're allowed to do this, but since it's Friday, feel free to leave a comment. What are you all doing this weekend? That is what I want to know. There is quite a bit going on this weekend, especially if you're out there in the Shoals area, but we will get into that a little bit later. There was no noon today, just like yesterday, due to the French Open. NBC is covering the French Open. So our noon show got canceled today, and yesterday it got canceled as well. So I bet you all watching at home right now, you are super hungry for today's top stories. And we're going to start things off with what our reporters are covering in the 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and 6 p.m. newscast right now. And starting things off, it'll be a follow-up on two fatal wrecks in the Huntsville area. One happened yesterday on Jordan Lane and the other this morning on Highway 53. Now, 48's Matthew King and Daquan Lee, they are doing some team coverage on these fatal wrecks. So make sure you all stick around for this 4 p.m. newscast coming up in just a few minutes. Now, of course, I bet you all want to know what Aria Pons is covering. Aria is out in the Shoals today, as she always is. She will be covering Second Saturdays to Scumbia, which is a cool little family-friendly event. It'll feature over 60 vendors, a battle of the bands, and a donut eating contest. Well, it is National Donut Day today, so that will be something you're going to want to stick around for. And yesterday, you know, I got to speak with one of the local vendors for Second Saturdays. Her name was Allie Beavis, and she is the owner of Oak and Ivy Threads out there in Tuscumbia. Let's listen to a little bit of what Allie had to say about this awesome weekend event going on in the Shoals.
Tuscumbia called Oak and Ivy Threads. It's a children's boutique, and we will have a trucker hat bar at our store going on where people can make their own trucker hat. But I'm just one of the people. I'm just helping to Second Saturdays, get the word out, stuff like that.
Well, very cool. Trucker. Yes, trucker cap. Yep, she was talking about what she will be selling at Second Saturdays. She'll be selling some make-your-own trucker hats, all part of Oak and Ivy. So that is one thing you can see out there at Second Saturdays. And again, like I said earlier, there was no noon show today due to NBC's coverage of the French Open. So you are all probably starving right now for what happened today. What were today's top stories on our website? So let's talk about them. And this first story that I'm about to play for you all, this is quite a crazy story. Now, this is out in Marshall County. An 18-year-old woman was arrested for incest following a welfare check on Tuesday. Now, Albertville police say they responded to a home in Albertville, and then officers said a child there told them that they were a victim of a sexual assault. Now, 18-year-old Casey Young was arrested after an investigation into the case. She was later booked into Marshall County Jail on a $25,000 bond. And this next story, this out in Lauderdale County, a Lauderdale County man, he has been convicted on multiple counts of child pornography possession. Now, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall announced this just earlier today. In Lauderdale County Circuit Court on Thursday, Kevin Prather, he was 52 years old, of Rogersville, he pleaded guilty to 5 counts of possession of obscene material depicting a person under the age of 17. Now, Prather was later sentenced to 10 years, and officials said the sentence would be split for him to serve 1 year in prison, followed by 3 years on supervised probation. Then, following Prather's release, he is required to now register as a sex offender and abide by the requirements of Alabama's Sex Offender Registration and Notification Act. Now, let's head into a lighter story that we reported on today. This is a really cool story. Two local departments are adding a big win to their resume after receiving second place at a national canine competition. This week, Florence police officer Sam Garrison and his canine partner, his name is Arrow, they competed with Madison County Deputy Jesse Greer and his canine partner Maverick. Now, this happened at the U.S. Police Canine Association's National Detector Trials. The competition was held in Wichita Falls, Texas. Now, all four competed against several other teams from across the country, both as a team and as individuals. Together, all four placed second at a regional team. Garrison also placed 15th in the entire country. Very cool stuff right there. Now, in case you missed it, yesterday, 48 Savannah Sapp, she covered a story about two separate campaign signs being vandalized. Now, the vandals, they spray painted swastikas on their campaign signs. So let's watch.
Margot, Jackson County Sheriff Rocky Harnan says these acts will not be tolerated in Jackson County. He has even contacted the FBI to help determine who is responsible. Meanwhile, Judge John Graham tells me he is not intimidated or threatened by it one bit.
It's beyond ridiculous. It's sad. It's unfortunate.
Jarring and disturbing images left behind on campaign signs in Jackson County. Circuit Judge John Graham says a constituent alerted him about his signs, spray painted with anti-Semitic symbols.
But when I saw that it was actually put on there with a stencil, that someone had gone to the effort to get a swastika stencil or create one and then put it on there, it was a little shocking.
Jackson County Sheriff Rocky Harnan says two vandalized signs were recovered, one on Highway 72 in Woodville and the other on Bob Jones Road in Scottsboro. Investigators are now trying to determine who's responsible. Harnan says while there are some reported hate groups in the area, it's too soon to tell if they're connected.
We'll fingerprint, possibly DNA. We'll be looking around for different businesses that may have videotape, things such as that.
Harnan says due to the nature of the crime, this case could go from criminal mischief to a hate crime, and his office will not work alone to solve the case.
Well, anytime you have something that could rise to the level of hate crimes, we contact the FBI, and Chief Woodall has contacted them, and they've agreed to take a look at it with us.
It's important to note Judge Graham is not Jewish. He's the incumbent circuit court judge running for his fourth term under the Democratic ticket. When asked if he believed this vandalism was politically motivated, Judge Graham said no and is seemingly unfazed.
Am I angry about it? Not in the least. I don't care. They can put one on every sign if they want to. It's not going to bother me. But I'm just sad for whoever felt like their time, their energy, their efforts need to be expended on painting swastikas on somebody's sign in a little local race in Jackson County.
Well, Judge Graham says he'll just continue replacing any signs these vandals may target next. Now, Sheriff Harnan is asking anyone with information on these vandalisms to contact his office directly. Reporting in Scottsboro, Savannah Sapp, 48 News, on your side.
And I had a buddy. I was 5'2", and he's 6'7".
Sergeant James Carson will be 102 years old in November, but he's a treasure trove of memories.
And the radio is mounted right behind the driver's seat, under this canvas cover now. And that was a bandolier of ammunition and a canteen, a German ammunition.
Carson was a radio operator during the Battle of the Bulge in Belgium. It's been 80 years, but he remembers D-Day all too vividly. He says he was focusing on his high school graduation when the invasion in Normandy reshaped his entire life.
I was just blessed to not be in that landing. I probably wouldn't be here today had I been in that landing. I know some men who were there that didn't come back.
His ties to the military extend far beyond just him. He's had brothers who served in World War II and uncles who served in the First World War.
This is the original telegram that came to my grandmother about his death.
One of his uncles was killed in a poison gas attack in World War I. Carson says he considers himself lucky that similar tactics weren't used as much in the Second World War.
So of course we had a gas mask available if we needed it, but fortunate that we never run into any problem with the Germans spraying poison gas on our troops.
After the war, Carson kept the military in his life. He went on to teach others how to work with military radio and served for a while at Redstone Arsenal. He even joined the Alabama Defense Force, working for his country even into his late 80s. In Arab, Daquan Lee, 48, on your side.
Such a cool story there. And I apologize earlier, you probably could not hear me because my mic was muted. So I just went ahead and unmuted my mic for you all so you could hear me. But wasn't that such a super awesome story? 101 years old, and he certainly does not look it. But awesome story of a World War II veteran down there in Arab. Now, I know you all are curious about how the weather is going to pan out for your lovely weekend plans because there's quite a bit going on this weekend. So make sure you all stick around for our evening forecast tonight and hear from 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Mr. Brad Travis. And of course, with the weather heating up, our buddies down there at WBRC in Birmingham recently spoke with an AC expert on how to keep your AC running smoothly this summer. So let's take a listen to that. And that is a much needed story because I am definitely trying to have AC. So let's see.
If you've been 4 or 5 years and you haven't had maintenance done, it's probably only operating at 75–80% efficiency of what it's capable of. And so you need to get that maintenance done just to make sure that it's functioning properly and that it lasts as long as it could. I mean, you wouldn't, hey, I'm going to drive my car for the next 5 years and never change the oil.
Very, very helpful right there. Definitely make sure you are keeping your HVAC systems, you're keeping those upgraded and up to date because you're going to want, in this state, you are certainly going to want to have some working AC this summer. Now, next story. I know some of you watching this right now, you probably have sweet tooths, and I think me included. But I definitely love my sugar, and it's also National Donut Day, of course. But I saw this video from NBC earlier on about how the dangers of too much sugar consumption could be detrimental to your health. So let's take a listen to that. And this is a very good donut, by the way.
A chocolate river.
That's the most fantastic thing I've ever seen.
Americans have a sweet tooth. On average, we eat more than 100 pounds of sugar per person each year. That's more than 3 times the recommended amount by the Food and Drug Administration. And it's not just candy, snacks, and soda. Hidden sugars in things like processed food, cereal, salad dressing, and even yogurt are adding to our sugar intake. And in a recent Time magazine article, Dr. Mark Hyman says it's time to treat sugar like cigarettes.
E-sugar, the new tobacco.
Sugar for sure is the new tobacco.
He's leading a movement to take the mystery out of what we eat by clearly labeling sugar on the front of food packaging.
We see rising rates of diabetes, of heart disease, of cancer, dementia, all linked to a higher consumption of sugar. And these are crippling America.
Do you think putting something as simple as a label on the front is going to change the way consumers eat?
Absolutely. I think people make choices based on what's on the label. They buy low-fat foods. They buy, high-fiber foods.
Data shows those labels are having an impact. A study looking at 2,300 families' food and drink purchases found that overall calories bought from products required to have warnings dropped by 23%. Overall sugar bought from those foods decreased by 26%. In New York City, as part of the city's Sweet Truth Act, a new rule would require food chains and coffee shops with 15 or more stores in the U.S. to use a warning icon to let consumers know eating too many added sugars can contribute to type 2 diabetes and weight gain. The labels would be mandatory on menu boards and packages for food and drinks with more than 50 grams of added sugar.
This allows New Yorkers to make informed decisions about their health.
And though a growing number of state laws are limiting local government control over food and nutrition, the Big Apple is just the latest to crack down on the sweet stuff. Several cities across the country have implemented sugary beverage taxes. A recent study found purchases declined dramatically in 5 of those cities because of it. And the USDA announced new nutrition guidelines for school meals that include plans to reduce sugar. Food industry groups say labels like the ones New York City will see could demonize certain food products or confuse consumers, and that existing nutrition labels provide enough information for people to make healthy choices.
People have to have choice, they have to know what they're eating, and they have to be clear. And I think Americans should have the right to choose what's good or bad for them.
Well, one thing I know is this is a very good donut here on National Donut Day, but I definitely am going to need to cut back a little bit on my sugar intake. It's just getting completely out of control. So that was a very insightful package right there from NBC. But, well, of course, it is Friday. And if you've watched Before the Four on some of our most recent Fridays, you know we like to end it on a good, peaceful note. So let's end this on a story regarding outdoor therapy. And is another super beneficial thing to have. Therapy is super important, and it's summertime. It's great to be outdoors. So let's watch this.
I'm hanging out with therapist Andrew Tepper of Boda Therapy. He's part of a growing group of therapists who are ditching their office and taking their sessions outdoors.
And I realized that therapy can be fun, and it can be dynamic, and it can be engaging, and it can be an experience for the client and for yourself. So uncertainty.
Yeah, it's probably cliche.
With him, a therapy session can be walking, hiking, and even skiing.
You remember what you said on that chairlift. You remember what reframing statement or mantra you came up with on that hike.
I got to experience this firsthand.
Life is unpredictable.
Where he led me through a therapy session while on a hike.
What actions could help you to go with the flow more?
Helping me work through some of my own anxiety.
When you do feel the anxiety of uncertainty, who's a person that would traditionally give you comfort, a feeling of comfort?
Oh, he's my dad.
Let's have you write down something you want to let go of on a fully separate page because we're going to burn it.
Research suggests that nature-based therapy can help fight anxiety, depression, and boost your mood. But patients should consult with a healthcare provider to determine if this is the right type of therapy for them.
If you're outside, you may or may not have complete confidentiality because you can't control with whether or not other people are around. One of the considerations that we think about is if somebody needs a higher level of care, can we get them to it? And that would be the other question we'd want to think about.
Chase Brockett, a 37-year-old research coordinator from Oregon, worked through his own anxiety and depression with talk therapy for over a decade. Then he needed a change.
It sounded like something that it was like, all right, I think it's time to get off the chair and out into just walking around and moving.
And at the end of my session,
it feels like these skills that you're teaching will be easier for me to apply just because I'm out in the real world and not, in a couch somewhere talking to you, laying down. So yeah, I think this is great.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for putting your trust in me.
That is super cool, and just the music in there. I love that ukulele they had at the beginning there that I think it's called the Makala ukulele. Super fancy ukuleles there, but awesome, beneficial story. A great way to kick off the weekend as it is now Friday. Now, you're probably wondering, what are some things I can do this weekend? And as I mentioned earlier, there's quite a bit in the shoals. There's, of course, Second Saturdays, as we talked about earlier, going on in Tuscumbia. And in Leeton, of course, there's Sledge Fest. And I actually spoke with the mayor of Leeton, Mr. Derek Silcox, as he previewed Sledge Fest. And you can find that full 48 Now interview on WAFF.com. It's on the digital show section of the website, and then just head over to 48 Now. You can find all the 48 Now interviews. Well, I think it is time for our Facebook fun segment of Before the Four. If you're new to Before the Four, you're going to want to stick around and find out what is about to happen. And of course, my tried and true people who are watching right now. And actually, let me check to see if anyone has commented. Terry said he does not have, does that mean does not have the YouTube? I'm not sure if the YouTube is streaming right now. Well, I'm not sure what that is, but hopefully the YouTube is streaming well. I do these streams on Facebook, YouTube, and of course our website or the 48 Now app. But let's head into Facebook fun real quick, and let's pop up the question of the day. So today, it is National Donut Day, of course, and I still, believe it or not, I still have a little bit of this bad boy left. But we asked what your favorite donut place is here in the Tennessee Valley. Right now, I'm eating a Krispy Kreme one right now. This looks like the Boston cream pie, and it is quite delicious. So I'm going to have to say right now Krispy Kreme, but let's see what you all had to say. Donna Oliver agrees with me. She says Krispy Kreme, and it's delicious. It's so good. Krispy Kreme all day. Let's see what else you all commented. Natasha said Bigfoot Little Donuts. I have had Bigfoot, and let me tell you, it was good. I think it was like those cinnamon apple guys. I don't know what they're called. They're like apple fritter kind of tasting little donuts. Those are super good. I agree 100% with you, Natasha. Very, very awesome comment there. And let's see what you commented. Well, Christine Jones said she likes her donuts crocheted from Just Crafting Around. And, you know, the crocheted ones, I've never tried one, but I'm assuming they taste nice and crocheted. I'm kidding, of course. Those are super cool also, and super creative stuff right there. So Christine, thank you so much for commenting. And that is just about all the time I have for today's Before the Four. But I hope you all have a great weekend, no matter what you plan to do. There's a lot going on in the Shoals, and of course the Trash Pandas. They're in town this weekend, finishing off their series against the Chattanooga Lookouts. But if you haven't done so already, make sure you download the 48 News app and get those push notifications turned on and the breaking news delivered directly to your phone. And the same goes for the 48 First Alert weather app. You will never miss a breaking news story or a weather update. But I hope you all have a tremendous weekend. Have fun, but make sure you stay out of trouble. We do not want to be covering anything bad that you all are doing this weekend. So please try to stay out of trouble if you're watching at home. But anyway, I hope you all have an amazing weekend. And as we like to finish it off every time, thanks for watching. Y'all have a great night.